Our goal needs to be relationship first, differences, they'll come and go, but our relationship's got to stay. So that's love, respect, trust. Then we'll worry about the differences.
That was Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson sharing advice on yesterday's show for moms who say, my child is nothing like me. Well, today, part 2 of our Parenting by Personality series focuses on the flip side, strategies for moms out there who say, hey, my child is just like me. Heather Johnson is back with a parenting playbook of sorts for moms with a mini-me at home, and you're looking at one. I can already tell you right now, I have one of those.
You have a mini-me?
I do, in my house. What do parents need to know about parenting a child who shares those similar personality traits?
The first thing we have to know is that we love ourselves. We have to know that. We have to be okay with us. Because here we've come into this situation where we've got a child very much like us. And the funny thing is when kids are like us, everyone tells them that, right? You can hear it. I'm sure you've heard where it's like, she's just like you, or he's just like you. And so they grow up hearing that. And if we don't love ourselves, and if we can't show the love we have for ourselves to that child, who everyone is saying is just like us, they will then think that they're not great.
So you're saying they internalize every time we criticize ourselves or talk down about ourselves?
Absolutely, and that's personality, it's also looks, right? So maybe I feel like I'm slow, and so that's something I'm always whining and complaining about, and then our daughter hears from everyone, you're just like your mom, so now she's slow too, even if she's not, right? Maybe I don't love my nose, but she's just like me. So if every day she hears me complain about my nose, and that's an appearance thing, then naturally her nose must be no good.
I would have never even thought about that.
So we have to love ourselves, right? First and foremost. The other thing with love that's really important is we have to love our weaknesses a lot, because when we have a mini-me, they're going to make those weaknesses very, very prevalent really fast. Really fast, right? I think about our son. We're very similar. He doesn't like conflict, and he's very cautious, and I'm the same. I do not like conflict, and I don't take risks ever. I don't like to be scared. I don't like to jump into something without knowing what's going on, and we're like that. And so when he's weak in those areas and needs to speak up or needs to take a risk, it makes it very clear that I have that same weakness. And I have to be able to go, okay, this is a weakness I have. It's okay. Let's make this a strength together. Let's look at this together.
Is a strength in these shared characteristics perhaps that you know what they're going through? You know how your son feels, for example?
We do, and it lets us anticipate and lets us prepare. And this is something we don't have on the flip side with a child who isn't anything like us. A child who's like us, we should be able to say, I know what it feels like to be you and be 6. So I can anticipate what you might face, what you might deal with, what might be happening, and we can prepare them. Now, the mistake we make is going to them and saying, hey, when I was 6, you know, 2nd grade was horrible. So they're going to think, well, it's going to be horrible for me too now.
Can't assume that.
We're not going to say that. But instead, we can process in our brain, you know, it was about 6 years old that I started to struggle with math. And so we can be sure that we're a little more attentive to our mini-me when it comes to mathematics, not by pointing it out, simply by just adapting and being attentive, preparing.
Here's something else I would have never thought of reading over your notes. If a child is like us, parents sometimes tend to let discipline slide.
Discipline slide.
Let the consequences slide.
We do, and we have to be equal in our discipline. We must be, right? My husband and I joke about this all the time. So our 9-year-old daughter is very similar to my husband. They are very much alike. He's always, she'll do something and we'll kind of recap at night when we, you know, rehash the day and the kids are asleep. And he'll say, oh my gosh, I did that same thing when I was her age. I thought that same way and all of that. And so when she does something, he's really quick, even though our son might do the same thing, to say, oh, well, because I understand why she did it, it's okay. Like, she's thinking a certain way. I get it. I get why she would do it, so it's okay.
I know she didn't mean it this way. I know she didn't intend it that way.
It's exactly right. Yeah. Because he knows how she meant it, because he thinks the same way. But then he can look at our son, and I do the same thing, but backwards. I can look at our son and say, hey, I get you, bud. It's okay. But then I look at our daughter, and I'm like, what the heck?
What are you doing?
That's not okay. We got to change that. And so we have to be very equal. And it's not just for us as parents, but our children pick up on that. So our daughters, you know, our other girls look at that 9-year-old, and it's like, what the heck, Dad? I did that and I got in trouble, and that's against the rule, but she did that and it's okay. And so they start to pick up, and then they start to feel a huge difference in the love that we show to them. Even though it's not intentional, we've got to be equal with our discipline.
I can see where, too, it would be easy to let your child kind of pool where they are, because you're comfortable there, they meet you there.
Right.
How can you break beyond that, both of you, and encourage them from the parental perspective to try new things and to jump out there and grow?
Sure, and that's exactly right. It's grow. We've got to foster growth for them. We've got to put them in situations where they can grow. Now, the reason we don't is just like you said. We see them, they're just like us, and so we naturally kind of guide them down this path that's just like our path. And that's okay. Kind of. We have to recognize that it is okay, but at the same time, we found that path for ourselves because we went all different directions first. We can't take that away from them. We have to allow them the space to go all those directions too, so that if they do come back to the same path as us, they found. But because of that connection, we oftentimes forget what they're going through to be who they are, and so we don't praise them enough for it. Does that make sense?
Yes,
so sometimes, you know, we say, okay, school was easy for me, so it must be easy for you.
Moving on.
Because we're the same.
Yeah.
So I never say to our daughter, you are working so hard and I can see it. And I love the dedication you're giving to French class. And I get how hard it is to go every day and get A's and work hard and juggle this. We don't offer the praise because it's easy for me, so it must be easy for you.
Right.
They still need that praise. And the fact is, it became easier for us because we probably had parents who recognized it and praised us. See, we forget the path that took us to be the same. And we need to create the same path for them that our parents created for us, so that those similarities are positive.
This conversation resonates with me in a real way, and I'm looking at a 2-year-old. So I know a lot of other parents are helped by this as well. Thank you so much. If people need some maybe family coaching or some one-on-one advice, where can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Always just go to the Studio 5 website and all the contact information is there.
Thanks so much.